Reality does not impress me. And when the ordinary life shackles me, I escape one way or another. No more walls. That is like good sex to me. Routines have a place. Simplicity certainly has a place. It's more of how you move through your life from this inner world, like what you're feeling inside and your perspective towards life, and also what your standards are. This is The Roxanne Show. Get ready. It's time to rise. Hey, welcome back to another episode of The Roxanne Show. In today's solo-sode, I'm going to share with you not only life mastery quotes that literally have impacted me in such powerful ways, but especially the individuals who expressed these powerful quotes. Some are no longer here. Some are still living, gratefully, because one is my ultra guest. I won't even say dream guest because I'm going to have him on the show one day. You heard it here first. So he's still alive, gratefully. But all of these individuals are some of the most luminary thinkers, visionaries, impactful humans who literally lived with heart, soul, and purpose. And if you don't know who some of these individuals are, it feels like an honor to introduce them to you. But I have a good feeling that a lot of you will know who most of these badasses are. So let's dive in with the first one. First, I'm starting with literally one of my most favorite writers. She is a French-Cuban diarist, essayist, short novels on personal stories and erotica. She is Anaïs Nin. I literally could do an entire episode with her work because it speaks to my soul. I literally have full body chills right now. That's how real it is with her. She speaks to my soul. She is just, her work is so incredible. It's so palpable, you know, and as a writer, she has deeply influenced and impacted my writing as well. So I'm really excited to share this quote from her that is, I mean, she has so many quotes, and actually it was not necessarily easy to pick one from her, but I'm going to do more episodes like this. And like I said, I may even do a whole episode just on her work and, you know, tease out this quote or her quotes and tease out her quotes, because all of what Anaïs says is so special and tremendously impacts the way that you view your life and the way that you view life in general, right? And kind of like the exchange of the inner world with the outer world. So this quote is literally delicious to me. So the whole goal, I don't know if I mentioned this in the beginning, the whole goal for me is to read you these quotes and elaborate on them to give you my perspective and perhaps how this, you know, perspective could be impacting you in your life, or just give you something to think about and feel into. Okay. Anaïs's quote: "I'm an excitable person who only understands life lyrically, musically, in whom feelings are much stronger as reason. I am so thirsty for the marvelous that only the marvelous has power over me. Anything I cannot transform into something marvelous, I let go. Reality does not impress me. I only believe in intoxication, in ecstasy. And when ordinary life shackles me, I escape one way or another. No more walls. I'm an excitable person who understands life lyrically, musically, in whom feelings are much stronger as reason than reason." So years ago, in my diary, in my journal, I remember years and years ago, I started coming out and saying this so much. I feel my way through life. I feel my way through life. So the resonance for me there in this part of the quote is so strong. Also, how she understands life lyrically, musically. For those of you who don't know, if you don't follow me on Instagram yet, I'm at Roxy Look. But for those who don't know, music is my life. It's truly my first love. Then came writing. Writing came to me, when I was a kid, but it was after my love, this connection with music. So if you follow me on Instagram, you know that my entire Instagram, from my wall or grid to my stories, it's like this, it's a soundtrack. Every post is always delivered with music, because music brings everything to life. And it's for me, I don't listen to music. I live my music. And there's a difference. So again, with what Anaïs is saying here, I really deeply feel that. Also, her thirst for the marvelous. And if it's not something that she can transform into the marvelous, she lets it go. And I love that, because what she's essentially saying is no lukewarm living over here. She wants the ecstasy experience. She wants to, just be devoured by bliss, by wonder, by awe. She wants to be taken back by life and not just kind of baseline moving through it. And again, for me, this is so felt deeply. I don't want anything that's just lukewarm and just, kind of basic, which doesn't mean that everything, and I just want you to think about what I'm sharing with you and how this can maybe pertain to your life as well. It doesn't mean that everything necessarily has to be over the top, but it's just to say you want to live life with potency, right? You want to be potent. You want a potent life. You want robustness, right? You want, another way that I express this in my poetry is living life in technicolor, right? You don't want the gray, black and white. I mean, black and white and gray has cool pieces. I'm not saying black and white isn't cool, but it's just experiencing life in such a sensorial way that you're excited to be alive. When you get up in the morning, you don't feel this, oh, can I just stay in bed and just kind of, no, you want to get out of bed. You want to experience life. You want life to experience you. That's a massive difference. And that is what this message that Anaïs is saying. She wants to experience the marvelous, and she wants to be able to transform as much as she can in her life to that marvelous. And if she cannot, she's not interested. And I fully get that. And I love that so much. I also love when she writes, and these, this is so powerful as a writer. Reality does not impress me. That is like good sex to me, that sentence. I don't know a better way to put it. It's so delicious. It's so simple. It's not wordy. And it's so impactful. You feel that reality does not impress me. Again, she's really doing this incredible job of letting you know that she is all about the fantastical. She's all about a life that excites her, that feels extraordinary. Basic, reality, that kind of mundane, redundant, lackluster way of living is not at all what she's subscribed to. And I feel the same way. And let me be clear about this too. I think this is really important. I'm a very routine-based woman, right? My life is actually very simple and pretty predictable in a lot of ways. Also very unpredictable too. I'm very simply complex. Where I'm going with this is this statement of living, everything that's marvelous and in technicolor and robust does not subtract the value of having routines, and certainly not things that are more simple. When I look up at the moon, it's just a simple action. The moon's always there. I'm not being dramatic. I'm not trying to be spiritual. I am spiritual, but this is not one of those moments. This is just telling you a very honest statement about me. When I look up at the moon, I literally have to say something. I'm like, fuck, I feel you. I am so taken back. And I love that simple, just looking up at the moon. It could be, nature, the sunset as well, just, and being so moved by it, right? That's the point, right? It's not about everything being a roller coaster or, like your carnival in Brazil, loud and flashy. It's not about that, If anything, it's like, how do you move through your life creating and experiencing the most simple experiences and having them be so potent and so robust that they move you like the moon does to me. Routines for me, my routines help to keep me a very potent individual, right? Because they help to keep my inner harmony rooted, my vitality strong, right? So again, it's routines have a place. Simplicity certainly has a place. It's more of how you move through your life from this inner world, like what you're feeling inside and your perspective towards life, and also what your standards are, right? If you have real baseline standards, or I'm going to say low standards too, then you probably are living a very lackluster life, like just kind of basic, I don't want to start giving examples because I don't want to offend anybody, but I feel like if you're tuned into me, you're reaching and you're striving and you're putting in that work that helps you to have standards that help uphold your highest state of vitality and how you show up to your life and for yourself, So yeah, again, it's important to put this in because while she's so beautifully descriptive about being all about the marvelous and all about the exciting and the fantastical, and that reality is not impressive, I think it's also a statement, at least from my perspective, of it's less about what the things are and more about your perception and how you are moving towards the things called life, the external world, as well as what your standards are just in general for your life, right? And I have to close out this quote, just the bottom, when she says, "And when the ordinary life shackles me, I escape one way or another, no more walls." And if you know anything about Anaïs and her work, it makes so much more sense, why she would say these things. I mean, she's literally one of the greatest erotica writers. I mean, she feels life truly. She is such a sensualist, and sensuality, not just in the bedroom sense, right? It's sensuality is a lens at life. And I very much understand and connect with her. I mean, I can look at my fruit and it's the most sensual view, just looking at fruit, because it's my ability to see the fruit from that, perspective. And there's so many other examples. In fact, I'll probably do an episode just on sensuality, just to broaden the definition and the ideas around sensuality, because it's actually a very, very important quality to understand and to connect with. And Anaïs was truly, when I think of the word sensuality, I'm thinking of Anaïs, just because her writing made it very clear that she is the embodiment of sensuality. And again, wasn't because it was all this bedroom stuff. It was even this quote, there's sensuality in this quote. When the words, "no more walls, I escape one way or another. I mean, to me, that is there's sensuality in that. So deeper conversation for another episode that I will do, putting a pin in that. But all in all, I mean, that quote from Anaïs really resonates with me. And I would say, in summary, to just share out here with you, is that how can you look at your life in a way that is going to bring you more excitement, that's going to give you more fulfillment? How can you create a lifestyle that supports your ability to experience life that is so robust, that is so inspiring, that you literally can't wait to get out of bed to live your life? How do you create a life in your inner world and your outer world to have that experience? That's the goal. That's this quote. So good. Moving on to someone who I refer to as my soulmate, one of my soulmates, Bruce Lee. It's hard to imagine anybody who, like that doesn't know Bruce Lee. Who's Bruce Lee at this point? But Bruce Lee is literally the most legendary martial artist I think that ever existed. He was an actor as well. He is a philosopher and a poet in his own right. And he's literally, again, the reason why I call him a soulmate is because his philosophies resonate with my soul. It's like he has these quotes and it feels like I'm understood or I'm seen in some ways. And not all of them, but enough of them to where I am just, I'm taken back by him. He's just, to me, he's so remarkable, truly. I'm going to insert this too, because this could be a fun question to ask yourself. So I've asked myself over the years, I mean, I used to have it on a Post-it note and then I would just add names, and now it's just kind of like a mental thing for me. But I have this question of, if I could have a dinner party and invite anybody, dead or alive, who would I invite? And I'm telling you right now, all the names on this episode that I read their quotes from are certainly on the list, and there are more, and those will be for future episodes. But think about that in your own life. If you can have a dinner party and invite anybody, who would you invite and why? For me, it's certainly because I want to have deep conversations with all of these individuals, And God, I mean, just imagining that, just speaking, having a conversation with Bruce Lee, which I've thought about so many times in my mind, like what are the questions that I would ask him? And also just listening to him elaborate his philosophies, his thoughts, and being able to contribute, my perspectives back to him. That's just a very exciting thought to me. So again, he's another one. I'm just going to say this about all of them. They all have so many quotes. It's really actually difficult to choose one, but I will do this again. So this one is one of my all-time favorites. And let me just read it because it's so good. If you always put limits on everything you do, physical or anything else, it will spread into your work and into your life. There are no limits. There are only plateaus. And you must not stay there. You must go beyond them. There are no limits. There are no limits. It's all here. It's all here. And I really feel that just deeply, in that quote, there's so much resonance. My life has shown me that, there's been limiting beliefs that I have broken through and proved that that was not a truth. And when you think about how many individuals operate life from limiting belief. Oh, that's not realistic. Oh, that would be nice. Oh, I can't do that. Oh, but no, I have this, so this won't. Really? No, sorry, no. It's all unacceptable. I'm not saying that there aren't real challenges. I'm not saying that, there aren't real traumas and there aren't real just hardships that can, create a really challenging pathway to accomplishing or experiencing something that you desire. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that it's all a mindset. If you can find a way in here, you will find a way out here, because that's just how it works in life. So the piece that I think is also so important about this is that he talks about, if you put limits on anything, mentally, physically, this way of thinking, he says it spreads into your work life, into everything. And it's true, right? If you're that person who has this mindset of, I will find a way, that goes into every part of your life. You approach every aspect of your life with that mentality, right? If you're that person who is like, I can't, it's going to show up in every domain of your life in some way or another. Some ways could be very obvious. Other ways could be very sneaky and not obvious, but it's what you're leading with, right? So I love that he calls that out. He's basically saying this is like a disease state thought. Like, you have to be careful because it will move in and infect, the rest of your life. And that's not what you're here to do. You're not here to be limited. And again, I say that with total respect for the fact that there can be really big challenges that make you feel very limited about what you can do or what you can't do. But I think this is a part where it's not just, self-belief and self-confidence, but it's creativity and it's curiosity that has to come in and be activated all the time. In fact, curiosity and creativity support your self-confidence. It's how you actually develop more self-confidence. You have to keep your curiosity turned on. You have to keep your creativity. Creativity allows you to be resourceful. Creativity allows you to try new things, to take a different approach. And that's really essential when you're talking about building, self-confidence or finding a way to accomplish, X goal, whatever it is that you want to experience, right? Curiosity supports the creative process, right? So it all works together. But the point here is that has to be turned on. If you turn off the limiting beliefs, turn off the curiosity. Limiting beliefs turn off your creativity and ultimately leave you in this very constrained, restricted, and limited life. And that's not going to feel good. So don't do that. Yeah. You have to remember, print out this Bruce Lee quote, put it somewhere that you can see it. There are no limits, and even if you hit a plateau, which sometimes there's a place for that, and it's kind of like a bit of maybe a resting and recalibration spot, but you don't stop. You have to keep going. You have to find new ways to continue to express yourself and have that move into your life at higher and higher levels. This is where your growth continues to expand. And, Bruce Lee was all about that. He was all about self-expression. I get full body chills. That's why Bruce Lee he's just so meaningful to me, because if you've been listening to me for a long time, that is what I am about. It's authenticity. It's self-expression. That is what we are here to do. We're here to express ourselves. But most people shut down. And there's a lot of reasons. And again, with compassion, I say that there are subconscious programs running your fucking life right now that don't allow you to truly bloom into the individual that you're here to bloom into. Bloom, self-expression, growth, expand. So we have to become so self-aware and do the introspective work that allows us to uncover those patterns, those programs, those limiting beliefs, so that we can do what we're here to do. And that is to expand into higher and greater expressions of ourselves. That is where you are the greatest contributor to your life. And that is to life in general. And also it's where you create a life of authentic mastery, authentic to you, your life, right? So powerful. Again, you probably want to print all these quotes out just to be real and keep them very activated in your mind and in your life. So the next individual who I absolutely love so much, literally, I fell in love with his work years and years and years ago. And I'm really honored. If you don't know who Ralph Waldo Emerson is yet, you've probably seen his quotes all over. If you don't know who he is and you're like, oh, that's, now the name, you can start connecting the dots, because his quotes are truly some of the most widely known quotes out there. He is one of the most incredible American essayist, poet, lecturer. He was known for leading the Transcendentalist movement. He wrote two of the most incredible essays, one book, Self-Reliance, and the other, Nature. And all of his work is about individualism, autonomy, self-reliance, interconnectedness. He's someone who you're like, wow, you really get it. When you read his work, you're like, you really get it. Get it, I guess, for me, is I really do see everything as so connected, right? And his ability to write and express the connectedness of everything, and also the power of self-reliance, so much emphasis on individualism and the autonomy that is woven into all of that. It's just like, again, as a writer, I am so deeply moved by his work, but just as a human, my heart is like, yes. So again, he's a whole episode in terms of quotes, but I'm going to read you this one because it's so powerful. And I think elaborating on this one for you to think about, to process in your own life could be very supportive. Okay, Emerson's quote is, "To be yourself in a world that constantly tries to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment." To be yourself in a world that constantly tries to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. That really is a powerful quote about autonomy and authenticity. And for my longtime listeners, you know that is a core conversation of mine. Autonomy and authenticity, to me, they go hand in hand, right? If you're not truly being yourself, that means you don't have true autonomy over. So there's like some fear-based thought that's ruling you, right? And if you're being ruled by anything, then you're not truly free. You're not living from that true autonomous state, right? So to be yourself, to be authentic in a world that is constantly trying to make you something else is the greatest accomplishment. And I truly, one of my greatest goals is to be an example through my work, through my life, of someone who remained 1000% authentic, true to the core of who I am, my essence, the whole way through, experienced, achieved, actualized that which I desired for my life without ever having to abandon my true self, and created a life of fulfillment and mastery. That is a goal of mine, to be proof. I'm already living it. It's already here and happening, right? It's just, we got more to go, which is exciting. And I hope a long way to go. And in that long way to go, a lot of more incredible experiences to have and accomplishments to create, specifically ones that really do impact and contribute to our life, right? All of while I stay true to myself. And for me, like, that's the biggest fucking goal. And it's not easy for people to do that. That's why this quote is so powerful. It's truly the greatest accomplishment, because at some or several points along the way, it feels safer, right? Quotes for those who are not watching. Safer to abandon your true self. You can say that it's, a lot of times people cover it up like, oh, I'm just trying to make it easy on somebody, or I'm just trying to, whatever. Like basically, it's like an altruistic act to support somebody else. But the truth is, it's like, no. When you abandon your true self, you're never doing anybody a service because you feel that abandonment. If it's something that you truly in your heart want to do, then that is a true move. But if it's something that you're doing and there's like a pinch in your heart, there's your body, just doesn't feel open. Small thing you're doing or big thing you're doing, that's not a true move. That is a disgenuine moment to your authenticity. And that's never going to feel good. And it's never going to be of service to anybody. And certainly it's never going to be in service to you. So whatever you have to do and face to stay true to yourself as you move through your life, you got to do that. And, there could be a lot of hardship that comes with that. You might, quote, lose an opportunity. It's not really an opportunity if it's not something that really suits your authentic self, FYI. There may be conflict because you feel a certain way and somebody doesn't, and you got to go the way that you feel, and that's going to create conflict. There are so many examples of how you are met with decisions in your life that invite you to stay true to yourself or to not. Endless opportunities. And every single one of them matters. You don't have to have a perfect record, but when you do, if you do slip up and betray your authenticity, it's your duty to learn from that moment and use that learning experience to make sure that you don't do that again, right? To put you on track, to root you deeper into your authentic path so you don't do that again. Maybe one day I'll bring self-reliance in and I'll read you some passages and elaborate on them, because he is truly one of the greatest minds that has ever existed. And if you don't know his work, I highly recommend that you look into it, and his writing is old, so it's not necessarily easy to read or even listen to writing from his time, but there's new editions of Self-Reliance that actually make it easier to take in his words. And I highly recommend that book to every one of you. And I'd love to know if you get it or if you love it. You can throw a comment if you're watching on YouTube, or DM me on Instagram at Roxy Look. But yeah, Self-Reliance is one of my Hall of Famers, because it's so potent, and everything about Emerson really is. So to be continued with Emerson. Let's move on to the next legend, Michael Jordan. Another name I probably don't need to introduce. He is by far and wide one of the greatest athletes we've ever seen, period. He played for the Chicago Bulls for years and years. He took them to, I can't remember how many championships, but Michael Jordan is the standard of excellence, literally. He's if you put Jordan, in the sentence, did you Jordan it? That means like you crushed it. It was flawless execution. It was almost fucking magical, because the way that he performed, his mentality was so remarkable, so outstanding, that Michael Jordan's in a league of his own. So there are many, many quotes from Michael Jordan I love. This one is it's so spicy to me. That's the best word I could put. So let me just read it to you and then I'll tease it out. Some people want it to happen. Some wish it to happen. Others make it happen. Some people want it to happen. Some people wish it to happen. Others make it happen. Why I love this, it kind of goes with the Bruce Lee quote about there are no limits, right? They're almost like cousin quotes, because there are a lot of people who live in the want, don't take action, live in the wish, don't take action. And then there are those who live in the action. And those are the ones that make it happen. It's actually really simple. It's not easy to do in life when you are the one living in action. But I can't tell you how much in the past, it would get to me where, we'll use, a woman in this example, oh, I would love to have that, but that could be anything. But what? Girl, go for it. Fucking do your thing. Get up. Do it. If you don't do it, the better way for your own self-esteem and self-confidence, honestly, is just say that you don't want to do it. Don't put yourself through the drama of I want, but I can't have. I wish, but no. If you really want it, you find a fucking way. Doesn't matter how long it takes. And that's also the part. A lot of people don't want to experience failure. They don't want to be beginners. They don't want to face rejection. They want it here and they want it now, right? They don't have the stamina, the grit, the perseverance to see a process through. Because some processes, depending on what the want is, you got to put in, it's like a marathon. It can be, but are you willing to do that? Are you willing to show up every day, fucking maybe lose a ton along the way? Meaning losing, like failing, coming up short. That didn't work. Didn't get that result I wanted. Overlooked over here, rejected over here. If you're not willing to face all of that over and over again, then you just don't want it. Straight up. And I speak from experience because I've only ever reached for it. And I have faced so many punches in the face, so much rejection, so many, desired opportunities that just didn't come my way, et cetera, and also reaching for the thing, not from a place of comfort and ease and a setup to make the reach really easy for me. It's like, no, I'm coming out of the fucking cement, that flower, like blooming out of the cement. Like, I'm going to find a way, because if you want it, you will find a way. And that a lot of people don't want to hear. And I'm sorry, but I'm not, because I'm here to bring it to you real. Maybe that's exactly what you needed to hear in this right moment right now. Is that reality of, and get yourself off the fucking hook. If you don't really want it, then just be like, it doesn't matter to me, But to put this whole I want, I wish, and then to not execute, to not really go for it, is not doing anything good for you, right? So either lower the standard, the desire, put it, somewhere where it's not that important, or level up your fucking game, level up the doing, level up your commitment, level up your discipline and your self-belief, your agency, and go for it. Right. So Jordan just To me, that's why it's spicy, because it could really be triggering to some people, because some people who live in the wish and the want don't want to fucking hear that the reason why they're not the ones making it happen is because they're not in the doing, right? There's going to be the excuses coming in, the limiting beliefs. And I'll even apply compassion, because some of that shit could be coming from your childhood or wherever it's coming from. But again, it's my responsibility. It's our individual responsibilities to uncover every fucking narrative that is having us play small, limiting the way that we express ourselves and move through our lives, and live a life that Anaïs Nin would fucking reject, a lukewarm life that doesn't feel good. Okay? See, all of these are working together, right? Final one. Woo, the grand finale. Gotta get ready for this one, because this is the individual who I teased at the top of this episode as my will be on the podcast. So not calling him a dream guest, because this woman is not, I mean, it's not to say that I'm not a dreamer. I dream it into life. So if that makes sense, it does to me. It's just more of, this is a person that I have a vision having a really incredible conversation with on this podcast. And for all of you who are listening or watching this one, who stick around with me for when this one comes into play, you'll understand how manifesting actually works. Okay, so the legend that I am bringing to close out this episode is Rick Rubin. Rick Rubin. I just heard an applause. Yeah, Rick Rubin. So he is one of the greatest music producers, record producers of our time, literally. He co-founded Def Jam Records. He literally rebranded hip hop, brought it out of old school, put it out this new, just refreshing expression of it out in the world. He has worked with fucking everybody. I mean, just he's so eclectic, going from Chili Peppers, Beastie Boys, Metallica, Adele, Lana Del Rey, 9 Inch Nail. I mean, the list goes on and on, literally. Just that didn't even do him service in terms of his, resume of who he's worked with. But what I love so much about Rick is his approach to creativity and life, and how creativity is life. Life is creativity. You are an artist. I'm certainly an artist. I mean, I've identified as an artist my whole life, but I mean, his whole thing is we're all artists, right? Because your life is ultimately your piece of art, right? And so he put out a book not that long ago called The Creative Act, A Way of Being. It is literally my favorite book. It is a blueprint to honestly, I feel like it's a blueprint of self-discovery. He invites you, so you could be an artist, and you could take in the passages very specific to how to show up and be more creative to your art. But even if you're not an actual artist by trade, again, you're an artist of life. So it's moving through your life with that framework or that mindset, that perspective, and that approach, right? And so his book is literally will be an entire episode where I just read Rick Rubin passages and elaborate on them. I highly recommend getting that book if you have not yet. He's just incredible, truly. And I so look forward to the conversation let's make it plural, conversations that I will have with the legendary Rick Rubin. So the quote that I'm going to read to you today is actually from his book, The Creative Act, A Way of Being. The quote is as follows: "To live as an artist is a way of being in the world, a way of perceiving, a practice of paying attention. refining our sensitivity to tune in to the more subtle notes. Refining our sensitivity to tune into the more subtle notes. That gives me the visual going back to looking at the moon. Literally last night, taking out the trash, and I look up and I'm like, oh, literally, oh. To some of you, it could sound like spiritual poetry, and non-relatable. But to others, you might really get it. It's just, I can look at a rose. I have done this. And the rose is my favorite flower. And a whole poem comes from me. I've written a whole poem from just staring at a rose. Because it's not just staring at the rose. It's the interpretation of the rose. And there's so much to interpret about the rose. So what Rick is saying here is to practice your perception in a way that invites you to recognize the subtleties of life. You know, the nuances, the texture, right? The line between the lines. This is the magic. This is substance. You know, for me as an artist, for writing, I mean, I pull from material from life, you know, to fuel my writing, to move into my writing. It could be anything. It could be a sound. It could be a color. It could be, you know, the glow of the moon, the texture, the temperature, anything. It's just having the ability to receive the information. And when you start opening up yourself in this way to be able to receive the information like this, and it becomes a practice where you nourish that sensitivity. Again, it goes back to the first quote of Anaïs. Life becomes more marvelous. Marvelous. I said that funny. Life becomes more robust, more potent, right? Because you're looking at something that's so maybe most people won't even look at. But to you see, whether it's an abstract situation or just something that's so part of life that most people ignore it, but you see the beauty in it. Like maybe it's, you know, I saw this couple the other day, older. So I would say somewhere maybe 80 upwards. And they were holding hands and they were walking across the street together. And the way that the man was holding her hand and they were walking together, it just, I mean, right now it moves me again. And this isn't I was leaving a parking lot. Normal. Most people aren't going to see that. They're just going to be driving and thinking about, you know, life. But I felt so lucky that I was able to capture this beautiful moment of love, of partnership, of, you know, a devotion. I felt devotion in there. And also of the reality that our life is limited. You know, so it was very humanizing. It was just all of that in that one snapshot moment of just seeing this couple, this elderly couple holding hands, crossing the street. Now, and to me, that is, it's poetry. It really is. So Rick invites you to move into yourself in this way where you start to access this inner artist that you are so that you can capture these aspects of life that are happening every second all around us to give you the most incredible experience of life, right? So to round out this episode, I'm just going to run down the incredible individuals that I read to you today: Anaïs Nin, Emerson, Bruce Lee, Michael Jordan, and Rick Rubin. All of these individuals have really done an outstanding job of living their most authentic self, creating a life of mastery, and being badass contributors to all of us in some or many ways, right? So think about that. Being authentic, it's the entry to a life of mastery. Not any one of these individuals that I read to you lived outside of their authentic self, period. End of story. Like none of them. They all knew who they were. They honored who they were. They didn't budge from who they were. And they let that who they were, their essence, carry them forward into their life of mastery in a way that allowed them to create works of art. Yeah, Jordan's wins, works of art. His skill sets, his standards, works of art. And all of those works of art contribute to us, to our mindset. It's literally a podcast episode right here that will live forever. So just think about that. Your authentic self, knowing who you are, staying true to who you are, and building your life from this true essence of who you are, creates a life of mastery and helps you be an incredible contributor to life. So that's what I got for you in this episode. I'd love to know how you feel about this episode. Did any of these quotes hit your heart today, right where you needed it? Any of your afterthoughts, if you get the books, let me know. Let me know. Roxy Look is the best place to reach me. I'm on Instagram there. DM me. And for those of you who have not already subscribe right now. And for those of you who have not already given this podcast a 5-star rating review, please take a moment to do so. There is a link in the show notes, super easy, and it makes a massive difference to the growth of this show. And that means more people get the good stuff that we create here for you with all of our hearts. All right, you guys, see you on the next one. Queen, this is your call to greatness. If you are ready, and I mean truly ready, to shift anything in your outer experience, your outer reality, your finances, your health, your relationship, anything career related, anything spiritual, any shift that you want to make that has to do with your reality has to first start with shifting who you are, your self-identity. My Future Self digital course is your supportive blueprint that helps you achieve this. The inner shapes the outer. So when you get crystal clear on your core beliefs, your core values, your core desires, your high, hard goals, when you learn how to rewrite parts of your past that maybe don't feel so great and instead leverage those experiences to be fuel for you to expand and to grow, this is how you start to change the game behind the game of life, which all starts and ends with you. I've designed this course from my heart, soul, and experience to be a femininely fierce experience for you to uncover and connect with your most authentic self. And as a Future Self student, you get 3 months free membership access to Queendom. This is where we really get to connect. Queendom is such a rad, sacred, empowered space where every month you get a live Q&A call with me so we can connect and troubleshoot any area of your life that you would like, or just get some encouragement from me as well as the other queens in the community. This is a really sacred space, and I will see you in Queendom.